Hello, I'm Beth Morrey and this is my book, Saving Missy, which I'm extremely excited about. It is about a very lonely, defensive and spiky old woman, Missy Carmichael, who has lost or severed connections with society, her family and friends. And the story is about how she reconnects with people through the kindness of strangers. We also learn, through flashback, about how she came to be in this position in the first place. So we uncover some secrets about her past and how she came to be here. So I'm here in the beautiful Waterstones Piccadilly, where I love to hang out, and I'm going to share with you 3 books that I adore and that also inspired me when I wrote Saving Missy. And the first of these is the wonderful Notes on a Scandal by Zoe Heller. I read this when I was in my late 20s, and it really transformed the way that I thought about writing and about narrators. And for those of you who don't know, it tells the story of Sheba Hart and her scandalous affair with her student. But the book is narrated by Barbara Covert. And it was Barbara Covert I was interested in. It's a first-person narrator. And what it challenges you with is the idea that you have to have a likeable protagonist. Barbara is more of an antagonist. She is waspish and disdainful and buttoned up and frankly quite creepy as a character, but she's lifted by moments of sardonic humour. And there's a particular passage, and it's in chapter 13, and I won't read it here because it's quite a long passage, but it's on chronic loneliness and what it is to be untouched. And it's the most powerful piece of writing. It's just beautiful. And for me, that lifts Barbara as a character because it's impossible not to empathise with someone who can speak so movingly and wisely about loneliness. And in the end, Barbara Covert inspired the character of Missy, because what I was interested in was a version of Barbara who could be redeemable, who could be pulled back through the cracks through kindness and community, because like Barbara, Missy is just crying out for love. So we're now in the sci-fi section, and I grew up on sci-fi. I'm a big sci-fi fan. I read Ray Bradbury, John Wyndham, Isaac Asimov. More recently, I love M.R. Carey, or Mike Carey as he's sometimes known. But as a teenager, I was transfixed by this book, which is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. And it's about Charlie Gordon, a menial worker at a bakery, who has an IQ of 68. But he's chosen for experimental surgery to rapidly increase his intelligence. The only being who has undergone this surgery so far in the book is a mouse called Algernon. But Charlie wants to be more intelligent, so he agrees to the surgery. And it works. His intelligence rapidly increases. His IQ more than doubles. And it's seemingly a great success. But as Charlie increases his intelligence, he starts to take over the research for his own project. And what he discovers is that there's a flaw in the research and that his genius may only be temporary. So then he's forced to contemplate an oblivion. And it's a very bleak and devastating book, really, but I was fascinated by the narrative arc of it. And what I was particularly interested in was somebody who starts with nothing, and then they gain a lot, and then they're forced to look over the precipice and lose it all. And I started to think, what would happen if you did the same narrative arc, but instead of IQ points, it was friends? And that is how Missy Carmichael started, that I imagined a woman who had no friends at all, and then she gets many friends and a whole life for herself, but then she's forced to contemplate the possibility that she might lose it. And that, for me, seemed like an interesting starting point. For my final selection, I am in the romantic section, and I'm very happy because I'm surrounded by Jilly Coopers, and I am a huge Jilly Cooper fan. Reading her books is like meeting up with an old friend for a bottle of wine and getting absolutely hammered. It's just so pleasurable. Her writing is so riotous and warm and funny. And I could choose any one of her books, really, particularly the Rutcher Chronicles, but the one that I have chosen is Rivals. I worked in telly for a very long time, and this is set in the world of television, so I was always going to love it. And I could wax lyrical for ages about what I love about Julie Cooper. Her prose is so pacey, the way that she juggles these huge casts of characters and these very intricate plot lines, and also the puns. But for me, the thing that informed my writing was the characterisation. Her dialogue is so sharp, you know instantly who everyone is, and they're lodged in your mind for good. And I think her books have punctuated my entire life. When I was doing my finals, I bought a copy of Score to read in the bath after I'd finished my exams. And when I had my second son, during maternity leave, I reread all her books during the night feed, and they were so comforting to me. I think if I had my fantasy dinner party, I would just fill it with characters from the Rutcher Chronicles, and Taggy would cook for us, and we'd all have a roaring time.